through to McDermott. Chance for Liverpool at the other end, and McDermott has scored. A lovely through ball from Ray Kennedy, just when Arsenal looked to be getting in the game. McDermott breaking from deep positions as he does so often. Took it just into Pat Jennings' area. Hit it left-footed and low. And the bank of Liverpool supporters behind Pat Jennings' goal salute that effort from Terry McDermott.
In Arsenal come away, and the ball pushed forward there by Ricks, trying to find Alan Sunderland, doesn't do so. And again, it's Hansen up in the action. A little push forward there to Dalglish. Opportunity for Dalglish. Turns inside one tackle, and Dalglish has scored. The sort of goal that only Kenny Dalglish can score. Kenny Dalglish of Scotland, the footballer of the year, showing Arsenal the way home. Brady just inside his own half. Checks, comes away from trouble, accelerates. Deceptively quick, this man tries to do too much, and the ball breaks for Johnson off Dalglish. Johnson with the ball, he's got Dalglish to his left. Johnson is going to take on this Arsenal defence. He doesn't, he gives it to Dalglish. Turns it outside to McDermott, and McDermott has put it there. The second goal in the course of 3 minutes. Not perhaps quite the quality of the Dalglish goal, but that will do for McDermott. It's his second of the game. We are now 65 minutes into this 1979 Charity Shield match, and that certainly rounds it off. It's Liverpool 3, Arsenal 0. Arsenal.
The 3 goals that won the FA Charity Shield at Wembley for Liverpool against the cup winners Arsenal. 3 goals that had all football quaking at the prospect of matching the reigning league champions in the winter that lay ahead, and had everyone insisting that Liverpool were so sure to retain their league title that medals should be struck for the runners-up. Liverpool's power that bright August afternoon at Wembley was awesome. Their passing and running a treat to watch, and their finishing was deadly. 9 months later, the experts were proved right, as Liverpool lifted a 12th league championship, their 4th in 5 years, as they finished 2 points clear of Manchester United, the only side capable of mounting a serious challenge as the season wore on. This is a record of their season, remembering not only the delight of winning the championship, but also the club's sorrow at missing out again in Europe and losing 2 cup semi-finals. But let's go back to that Charity Shield display at Wembley. It was a performance that Liverpool had to live with through the season, a performance that brought odds of 6-4 on to win the title, and a performance which Bob Paisley agrees created pressure on Liverpool right from the start of the season.
Yes, that didn't do us any favours when they talk about that, and then later on, and not so long ago, about a couple of months ago, they said we were 4-6 on for next season. I mean, this season had finished, and that was about 6 weeks of the season to go, and this puts added pressure on. But it's been a long, hard season, and when the draw was made in the European Cup, and we drew the Russians, we were instantly conscious of what we had to do, and we started playing from my point of view and the staff. We started playing from July the 15th. What I said to the press conference before the Charity Shield, I said, well, I didn't think the Charity Shield would be a very good game. And I've been proved right in these last few weeks when we've been tussling with Arsenal, because their game in the Charity Shield was totally out of character, whether at the last minute they decided to add a touch of flair to the game and that, which they don't have too much in it, and that, and they're a very solid, efficient side. I've got nothing against it, because this is the way that we've been brought up ourselves, and you've got to have a solid foundation on anything in life, and that's the only way to get the football going. You've got to make sure that you're not conceding anything, and it's on these lines that Arsenal's been brought through, and I didn't expect them to be as open as they were in the Charity Shield, and that's why I said they aided and abetted into our victory.
So to the start of the season proper, all 92 teams in the Football League waiting at the traps like greyhounds before the race. But Liverpool, the league champions, weren't among them. Work on the new stand at Wolves wasn't complete, and so Liverpool's visit there on the opening day was postponed. Instead of chasing the hare like the rest, Liverpool were across the sea in Ireland playing the Irish League in a pre-season friendly, as the first points of the season were won and lost. Liverpool's league didn't get going until Tuesday, August the 25th, when 46,000 were at Anfield to see Bolton, later to be relegated, get a point in a goalless draw. With 11 men packing their penalty area, Bolton steered away from defeat, and they gave everyone food for thought that defence could be the key that would stop Liverpool in their gallop. Indeed, the ploy Ian Greaves used that night was to become the trademark of many matches at Anfield that season. Pull men back, absorb the pressure, cut down the space, and rely on the break for attack. West Brom were the next visitors to Anfield, never a team that relied on defence. They traded space with Liverpool and were beaten 3-1. Tranmere in the League Cup second round followed, a two-leg affair for the first time, and the first match at Prenton Park saw the unfashionable neighbours from the other side of the Mersey hold the might of the champions to a goalless draw. The following Saturday, Liverpool were at Southampton. They played football, according to manager Bob Paisley later, that was some of the best of the season, but they lost 3-2. And suddenly the warning signs were out. Was the bubble bursting? Well, two 4-0 scorelines against Tranmere in the League Cup return and against Coventry had the critics thinking again. It must be said, though, that it wasn't the Liverpool of old we were watching. A point, though, at Leeds was always a good result, and it was Europe coming up next. The meeting with Dynamo Tbilisi, the unknown Russians from faraway Georgia. A 2-1 lead from the first leg hardly seemed enough to guarantee a second-round place, and a goalless draw with Norwich at Anfield and another defeat against Forest was hardly the right preparation for the return 3,000 miles from home. But still, Liverpool went full of hope.
Tbilisi still in possession with Kipiani on the edge of that Liverpool penalty area. Kipiani will leave it for Butsaya. One of the goals. I think a penalty because the side has gone down. Oh, this is even worse now for Liverpool. Butsaya went down in a challenge. The referee had no hesitation and pointed to the spot. And even though the Liverpool team are protesting and having words and saying no it wasn't, Montrona's leading the protest. The West German referee has pointed to the spot, and at this level, of course, he will certainly not change his mind. Well, now it's going to be Chavazzi, the scorer of the goal at Anfield. But made this time on such a life edge, of course, for number 3 for Tbilisi to take a penalty which would make it 3-0 on the night, and I think mean that there is no doubt at all that Liverpool will be out. Up it comes, right foot in, it's there, Tbilisi 3, Liverpool 0, and I think this is going to go down as one of the big nights in Europe for Liverpool in their 16
And outside the dressing room in Tbilisi, Liverpool's experienced midfield man Ray Kennedy agreed that something was going drastically wrong.
We've got problems. I mean, I think this is the heaviest defeat we've had for a few years in Europe, so we've got problems, but it's up to us to put them right, and as long as people keep saying it, we'll bounce back. That's what it's all about, really. If you throw the towel in, you'll get nowhere, so it's up to us to pull our socks up, but I would say there's a few problems, yes.
How do you think this defeat is going to affect the league form? Because that obviously now takes number one priority.
That's right, yeah. Well, we played well enough against Forest last Saturday, but again, we lost. So there is something a little bit missing. So we'll have to put that right, and we'll have to go for the league, yes. So the League Cup looks very important at the moment. So we're a little bit disappointed, but last year we went out in the first round against Forest, and we won the league. So if we just plug on, maybe we can do it again. Although, like you say, we're in a bit of a bad position at the moment. But there's a long way to go, and we're fighters, and we'll still be there.
So Liverpool dumped out of Europe for the second successive season in the first round, but now at least they could concentrate on the honours here at home. That defeat in Georgia still rankles with Bob Paisley as his biggest disappointment of the season, and later he talked about that European Cup exit and the other disappointments that were to come against Nottingham Forest in the two-leg League Cup semi-final and the four-match FA Cup semi-final marathon against Arsenal.
The Tbilisi won. It was unfortunate, unexpected. I fully expected to win that, but I don't beef about injuries because I accept them as part and parcel of the game and that. But you like to be at full strength when you play the important games, and then I do think clubs are unlucky. But this is what makes and breaks championships, makes and breaks trophy winning, and that. And we were unfortunate that Drake Kennedy, Alan Hansen and Dave Johnson went here when we should have had enough goals to beat the Russians. And had we got through, we were confident this year that we could win that cup. I was fairly confident for my standard anyway, about the European Cup. I thought if we could just get a set in, we could probably take that. The other cup, you accept the look of the draw and that, but I thought we might have won one of the domestic cups, and certainly I was disappointed when we got knocked out of the European Cup. But having said that, football's, you just got to lift yourselves and just get back on the beam again. And all credit to the lads that they battled over that, because certainly that there was 3 really big setbacks, enough to warrant, throwing the towel in, everybody in that. But they're not made like that at Liverpool.
No, defeat's a dirty word round Anfield Road, but still something looked to have gone seriously wrong with the Liverpool machine. The senior professional at Anfield, England goalkeeper Ray Clements, talked of that stuttering start the champions had in August, September and October, when quite simply Liverpool were playing with uncharacteristic inconsistency.
We started off the first couple of games quite well, and then we lost Ray Kennedy through an injury, and I think that I hope it proves to the fans how much that we need Ray Kennedy in the side, because he balances us so well on the left-hand side and does so much work that probably isn't noticed by a lot of people. And in that spell that Ray wasn't in the side, we stuttered and started and never really got going. And then Ray came back into the side, and then we had a magic run for about 3 months where we really played well, tore sides apart, and looked like we were going to run away with this. And then we went to Manchester United when everything was going right and got beaten there, and then started to stutter and stammer again. And we did enough in the end, but probably it was a good job that we had that lead, because 1 or 2 things didn't go right for us. But there again, I think full credit to the lads in that with all the games that they played and everything, that when the football wasn't going right for them, they battled through it, and that's what matters at the end of the season. You've got your points in 2/3 of the season. It's battling through and just getting the points that you need in those last few games.
The long journey home from Russia wasn't one of Liverpool's happiest. It now seemed the time when the backroom magic that's been talked about for years would have to work again. The players would have to buckle down and get a run of victories going that would see them challenging for the honours again. Well, the magic worked. October the 3rd, Liverpool were beaten in Russia, and that was the last defeat Liverpool suffered for 19 games. Taking them into the new year to Highfield Road, Coventry, Gordon Milne plotted Liverpool's downfall with a team of raw youngsters. That run coincided with Bob Paisley being able to name an unchanged team week after week. It took Liverpool through to the League Cup semi-finals, and the first step on that other Wembley trail through the third-round FA Cup tie against third division Grimsby Town. Grimsby, beaten 5-0 at Anfield, gained consolation later with promotion as champions to the second division. But after a David Johnson hat-trick, with Graham Souness and Jimmy Case adding the others, there was no consoling the Grimsby boss, George Kerr.
Well, that's right. I think that, we've been whacked 5, and it's the first time this season, and we've really been outplayed. Our players mustn't accept that. I think we accepted the fact that we were being outplayed, and that's no good for us. I think in the second half we joined the spectators and watched Liverpool play, and it's worth watching, isn't it? It's tremendous, but it's no good to us. We've got to be in there and having a go and sorting things out, playing our way. We gave the first 3 goals away. They were put away well, but we gave the chances, and they took them. And as longer the game went on, we just deteriorated. We gave the ball away too many times, and you can't do that.
So Liverpool bound for Wembley in one competition and just 2 matches away in the other. More about that League Cup semi-final with Nottingham Forest in a moment. First, let's pay tribute to a marvellous season for striker David Johnson. His 27 goals for Liverpool outshone even Kenny Dalglish, and he was the second top scorer in the First Division. After that hat-trick against Grimsby, Johnson tried to explain why things had suddenly gone right for him over 2 years since his move back to Merseyside from Ipswich Town.
Well, I don't know. Obviously, I've been in the side straight from the start of the season. You've got to be playing to be able to score goals, and obviously I'm playing regularly. And the side's in a set pattern. We know how each other plays now, and obviously it's going right. If I'm touch wood, we've been having bad injuries, whatever someone is. It's been going absolutely right for us. We've had a set side and been able to play set moves, and it's all gone great for us. Obviously, if you're chopping and changing the side, it disrupts the rhythm, things don't go quite as well. But as I say, things have gone really well for us all.
And of course, Johnson later won a recall to the England squad, strangely enough displacing his local rival Bob Latchford as leader of the England front line. And he more than made his mark in the week after the FA Cup final, with 2 goals against the world champions Argentina in a 3-1 victory at Wembley. Back at Anfield, though, that Coventry defeat came immediately prior to the first leg of the League Cup semi-final with Forest at the City Ground. Liverpool aiming for revenge for the 2-0 win their old rivals gained over them in the European Cup the season before. They went to the Midlands determined to improve, and with only seconds remaining, it looked as if they'd done their job.
So Nottingham Forest will take the free kick, and it's Lloyd to Needham. Needham goes dashing away into the mud and plays a long ball. And Robertson will come in, field a chance perhaps here for Nottingham Forest and Birtles, and it's a penalty! It's a penalty to Nottingham Forest! And the crowd are going absolutely wild here. Birtles went through, 2 defenders came over. It seemed to me that they all collided. I would not be prepared to make a comment here. Clements was involved in it too. But one thing is certain, Ron Challis had no doubts at all that Ray Clements had fouled Birtles. Doesn't make any difference what happens now. It is a penalty. I wonder how important this could be. And it'll be John McGovern, I would think, who'll take the penalty. And Ray Clements is still arguing. Well, Ray Clements is not happy. And John Robertson, 10 goals this season. Ray Clements is still not happy. John Robertson is asking Ron Challis if he's ready. The ball is on the spot. It's Robertson against Ray Clements. Oh, how important this might be. And here it is. And it's there! Nottingham Forest won, Liverpool 0. And in the dying seconds of this game, John Robertson, the Scotsman, gets his 3rd League Cup goal. And who knows, it might be enough to take Forest to Wembley. It just might. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Liverpool 0. Drama right to the end here.
So Forest, the side Liverpool just couldn't overcome in a cup tie, had done it again. But still, there was the return leg to come at Anfield 2 weeks later. Ray Clements now takes time to look back on the cup failures of the season, starting inevitably once again with that great disappointment in Europe in October.
The last 2 years now we've been knocked out of the first round of the European Cup, and that by Liverpool standards is terrible, and we realise that. We intend to put that right next year, and we've been to 2 European Cup finals and know the glory and the glamour that's attached to them, and we wanted desperately to get back there, but it wasn't to be, and yet again it was a bitter blow for us, but the lads picked themselves up and had a run in the League Cup, and then somebody kept bringing people down for penalties in the League Cup semi-final, so we didn't manage to get to that final.
So here comes John Robertson against Ray Clements to make it 2-0 on aggregate and 1-0 of course on the night. The photographers racing round behind that goal, the top really giving Robertson some stick, and he comes and he's put it in the back of the net. Liverpool 0, Forest 1. The Forest supporters away to my left go absolutely berserk. That's 2-0 on aggregate, and in all honesty now it's a mountain for Liverpool to climb. The directors on the front row of the directors' box that have come up here from the City Ground are on their feet. They're applauding that, turning to their supporters. The Kop find their voices, but really that was a penalty and taken oh so coolly. The opposite side to the way that Robertson placed the one at the City Ground that left this tie on a knife edge. Now he's made it 2, and both of them penalties from John Robertson. So it's Liverpool 0, Forest 1 on the night, but Liverpool 0, Forest 2 on aggregate. And that could be the goal that takes Forest to Wembley.
And then, of course, we picked ourselves up again and had a good run in the FA Cup, but that wasn't to be either. But at the end of the season, we've got a trophy, and that's important. Although probably by Liverpool standards, if we don't have 2 every season, we've had a disappointing season. To win the European Cup, it's a 2-season job, really. In the first place, you've got to win your own league to get into it, and then you've got to go on to win the European Cup the following season. So to win a European Cup, you need 2 successful seasons. And obviously at the start of every season, the main priority is to be in Europe the following season. And that means finishing in the top 3 these days. And then obviously we want to win it. So then we're in the European Cup, and then we can go on to win that hopefully. But I would say in terms of importance, yes, the League Championship have got to be first. And then win the European Cup itself, and then the FA Cup, and then that Mickey Mouse Cup called the League Cup. Well, if we got there, that would be a bonus for us all.
So Cloughie's boys had reached a League Cup final at Wembley for a third successive year, Mickey Mouse or not. They denied Liverpool the chance of winning the League Cup for the first time in their history, but in the FA Cup it was a different story, and more fuel to the argument that this was to be Liverpool's cup year after all was added with a 2-goal win in the FA Cup fourth round at the City Ground. Kenny Dalglish and a Terry McDermott penalty being the important match-winning goals. From the excitement back to the league battle, and next on the list was the long trip to East Anglia and a meeting with Norwich City, rarely beaten at Carrow Road and smarting from a League Cup defeat from Liverpool earlier in the season. There was no Graham Souness and no David Johnson there either, so into the fray came David Fairclough and a comparatively new face to the Anfield faithful, the diminutive Sammy Lee. Both played important parts in a marvellous match won 5-3 by the champions, with Fairclough proving he could play from the start of a match as well as coming on late in the game as the super sub. He grabbed his first ever league hat-trick, Dalglish and Case got the others, and it seemed Liverpool were in an unstoppable mood. Points clear, games in hand, the title was definitely heading for Anfield. Now the talk was that elusive and almost exclusive double, but if they were to get to Wembley, Liverpool had to do it the hard way. Spurs away was the venue for the sixth round, and it was a touch of Terry McDermott magic that won the tie for Liverpool and the place in the semi-finals.
Is tight to his own goal line. May have problems getting out of that one. He does get out of it, but in fact he's given it away to McDermott. McDermott to the far post. Oh, what a goal by Terry McDermott! A superb goal by Terry McDermott. With 8 minutes to go to half-time. That was beautifully worked by McDermott. Good work down the right.
And that piece of inspiration from the man of perpetual motion carried Liverpool through and clinched McDermott 2 other titles, the Players' Player of the Year and the Football Writers' Footballer of the Year.
It's a great thrill, it's a great honour, not only for myself, for the club as well, I would imagine. And all credit to the players as well as myself, because without them I wouldn't have been able to have been in contention. No other Liverpool players won it before, so it's a great honour, as I say, for myself and the club.
Tell me, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, 12 months ago when no Liverpool player got in the squad of First Division players chosen by the PFA. All of a sudden this year there are 3 in the top 6 and you've won the award as well.
Last year the lads were very, very disappointed. I don't know if it was last year or the year before when not one Liverpool player was in the fair, even the team, let alone in contention of winning it. I think last year Kenny had possibly his best season, or the year before his best season that I've ever seen anyone have really. He was unbelievable when he played, and he wasn't even in contention of winning it. I don't think he was in the first 6, which was a scandal really. And all the lads were bitterly disappointed, and a lot of them said they were never going to vote again. And I must admit there was 1 or 2 who didn't vote. I voted, but I was close not to because of that. And I think it was just petty jealousy on some players' behalf. But this year it took a full swing, and luckily it was me who got the vote.
And so, at that stage of the season, Liverpool were 1 match from Wembley, Arsenal, the semi-final opponents, and all Merseyside was having dreams of the first Everton-Liverpool Cup final. The Blues were drawn to meet West Ham. In the league, despite losing at Spurs and at Old Trafford in the confrontation with their nearest challengers for the title, Manchester United, Liverpool needed only a modest return from their remaining games to secure that championship. But in the middle of all the title activity, there was the small matter of Arsenal to overcome for Wembley. The first match at Hillsborough was an anticlimax. No goals, with Liverpool the width of a crossbar from losing in the last 4 minutes. So to Villa Park for the replay, and David Fairclough gave Liverpool the lead.
And the ball turned for a chance now for Johnson. Johnson shoots, and that was the best chance they've had. And as that ball comes back off the foot there of Pat Jennings, it's David Fairclough, the super sub they call him. Super sub no longer. He started the game, and now 6 minutes into the second half, it's David Fairclough who breaks the deadlock. Opportunity for Sunderland. Flicks it over the head there. Jennings, he must score. Oh, and what a mistake there by the Liverpool defence. Clements drawn off his line. The man in possession was Alan Sunderland. He made no mistake. He kept his cool. And exactly at the right time, he got his right foot under that ball. The ball seemed to be in the air an absolute eternity. Clements turned and tried to race the ball back to his line. He just failed. And so now we've got parity again. It's Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1.
And if that match was dramatic, it was nothing compared to what was to come in the second replay, also at Villa Park, the following Monday.
The game is underway. Early long ball by Rice, aimed for Stapleton, finding a little break for Sunderland on the edge of the area. Sunderland's through. Oh, what a dramatic start! Sunderland has scored with only 15 seconds of the game gone. And that is absolutely amazing. Alan Sunderland, the man whose speciality is scoring vital cup goals, has made him so famous, has scored surely the most remarkable of his career. 15 seconds gone, and Sunderland, with what must surely be the quickest goal of the season in any game, has set Arsenal on the road towards Wembley with the most brilliant of starts that anyone could have dreamed of. 15 seconds, and Alan Sunderland has made it Arsenal 1, Liverpool 0.
Souness to Fairclough, little dink ball by Hansen who's playing up there. Back from Souness to Hansen inside the Arsenal area. A chance here, and it is a goal for Liverpool. And Kenny Dalglish has scored in injury time. Unbelievable scenes here, and the Arsenal players are sitting down on the ground. And Kenny Dalglish has scored his second FA Cup goal of the season, and it's the biggest drama that you can imagine. The Arsenal players shake their heads. Frank Stapleton is on his hands and knees in front of us here. Arsenal were, by my reckoning, half a minute away from Wembley. A goal then in the first 15 seconds, and an equalising goal in the last 15 seconds. This semi-final has had everything. We must now surely move into injury time, and they will give Kenny Dalglish the freedom of Anfield, because Dalglish has brought Liverpool the champions back, and Arsenal now have to do it all over again.
And so to a third replay. The extra time period saw the teams still deadlocked. This time at Coventry, the agony was finally ended.
Jack Rice midway inside the Liverpool half. A good ball too to the edge of the penalty area, but back is Ray Kennedy. Oh, and he slipped and left it to Stapleton. Stapleton a good cross. Talbot must score. Talbot has scored for Arsenal. 11 minutes gone, and once again Arsenal take the lead, and it all stems from an unfortunate mistake by Ray Kennedy, who slipped when in possession and no.
So, as in the League Cup, Liverpool fell at the penultimate hurdle, their third semi-final defeat in succession, and Arsenal made it to Wembley, only to lose the Cockney Cup final. Everton couldn't make it either, to West Ham. With all the cup tie frenzy, the league had been for a while forgotten. At Old Trafford, Dave Sexton's men had kept up their challenge, and with 2 games to go, Liverpool needed 2 points to make sure that they'd end with at least 1 trophy from a long, hard season. And on the last Saturday of the league campaign, they were at home to Aston Villa, for the second year in succession cast in the role of the team that might deny Liverpool their ultimate ambition, while United were at Leeds. At Anfield it was 1-1 at half-time. While the news from Yorkshire was good, Leeds were 1-up against United. That was all that was needed for Liverpool to turn on the power in their last 45 minutes of football at Anfield for the season.
Throw in to Liverpool. Lee will take it in the shadow of the roof of the stand, finds Johnson in the sunlight. Johnson goes forward, finds Dalglish inside the penalty area. Dalglish turns, plays the ball across the box. It'll come to Cohen. Cohen shoots, and Cohen has scored, and this time it's in the right net. What a marvellous moment for Avi Cohen. The ball deflecting slightly on the way, perhaps, but Cohen it is who takes the congratulations. I think it might have just touched Ormsby on the way in, but Avi Cohen will claim the goal, and no one will want to deny him that marvellous moment. Midway through the first half, on this, his Anfield debut, Cohen sliced it into his own net. Well, he must be a very, very relieved footballer now, because Cohen has got the goal which has put Liverpool back in front and back on course for the League Championship.
Liverpool take the throw, broken up by Bremner. Bremner laying the ball down the line, looking again for Geddes, but Liverpool break it up again. Kennedy to his right, Lee starts on a run infield. Souness lays it back. Johnson with a shot. Oh, what a goal by David Johnson! That was an absolute peach of a goal. Sammy Lee touches it on. Souness, David Johnson gets his second goal of the match, his 27th of the season. And that goal surely now has given Liverpool their 12th championship. Before the match, Phil Thompson said, if we win, I want to win in style. Well, that goal was style. Davy Johnson has surely brought the title back again to Anfield. It's Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 1, and Anfield now is all singing and delight. As McDermott takes a free kick to the far post, Ray Kennedy, and it's there! Ray Kennedy, nothing running down the left. The free kick that McDermott takes so well, and Ray Kennedy coming in from the left. Again, he's done that so often this season. So Ray Kennedy gets his 10th goal. The man who slipped, in fact, on Thursday night gave Arsenal their goal. The man who was so disappointed that night.
And so Liverpool had done it again. The title was back on the Anfield sideboard. The long, hard slog was complete. In the week they competed for the Wembley place and for the league title, Liverpool found time to sign 2 newcomers for next time round. Ian Rush, the 18-year-old goal scorer from Chester in his first league season, was picked up for £300,000. And 3 days later, Richard Money moved north from Fulham for £350,000 as cover for the back four and in midfield. So, even though they were winning the title and falling just short of Wembley, in typical style, Liverpool were insuring for the future. Next time, the pressure for success will be just as great, but Ray Clemence is confident enough that yet more glory is just round the corner.
Once the season starts, that we always believe we've got a chance to win the league championship, before a ball's kicked. I mean, the bookies believe it anyway. They won't take a bet after 3 months or something like that. And I think if you realistically look at the first division before a ball is kicked, you can only see 6 teams that can win it anyway, at the most. I mean, at the moment, you look to the likes of Manchester United, Ipswich, Arsenal, and ourselves, obviously. And possibly, as dark horses, still a very young side, but have done quite well, Aston Villa. Apart from that, you can't see anybody else sustaining through 9 or 10 months of all weathers, all sorts of conditions and injuries, because obviously you need a pool, as we've proved this year, you need a strong pool of 16 players. And I can't see anybody else winning it next season out of those 5 or 6.
And the fans at Anfield, well, they demand nothing less than challenges on all 4 fronts. League, European Cup, FA Cup and League Cup, probably in that order. The pressure is there again to go out and challenge for all 4. But that's something Bob Paisley has come to live with season after season.
Everybody always expects us to win 4, but as I say, if you win something, I say there's times we no real right to win anything, but there's, on the same score, there's nothing in to stop us from trying to do that, and that's what we try to do. We try to entertain with it.